Hi, everyone. John Michael Coppola here, and welcome to the Chicago Theater Makers Podcast, where we chat with the actors, directors, choreographers, designers, producers, music directors, lyricists, playwrights, and all the artists who make the Chicago area theaters come alive. We're so excited to have you here with us today. But before we get started, we just want to remind you to please like, subscribe to, and share this podcast with your friends and colleagues who you think would appreciate the conversations we're having. We'd be so grateful for your support in this way so we can continue to bring these stories for years to come. Thanks again for being here, and now, curtain up on today's episode. Today's guests both star in Theo's currently running production of Urinetown. Ryan Stajmiger, who plays Officer Lockstock, has been seen all over the Chicagoland area for the last 13 years. Some of his more memorable roles were Olaf in Paramount Theatre's Frozen, Anthony in Kokandy's Sweeney, Todd, and many others, including roles at Marriott Theatre, Chicago Shakespeare Theatre, Drury Theatre, and Porchlight Music Theatre. Alicia Berneche, who plays Penelope Pennywise, has forged her career in both opera and music theater all over the world. She came to fame replacing Dawn Upshaw in The Great Gatsby for the Lyric Opera of Chicago, which then took her to New York City's Metropolitan Opera House. She is also a very busy vocal teacher here in town, specializing in classical, crossover, and musical theater styles. Theo's production of Urinetown runs at their home base in Evanston and has just been extended until January 4th, 2026. For tickets, please visit theo-u.com, or you can simply click the link in our show notes. I hope you enjoy my conversation with Ryan Stajmiger and Alicia Berneche. Now let's go to the top of the show. Hi, Ryan. Hi, Alicia. How are you both doing?
Good. How are you?
I'm doing very well.
Well, thank you both for joining me here on the podcast. It's super exciting for me. So if you've been listening to the podcast, you may know that we always start it the same way, and that is to ask our guests to please tell our listeners a little bit about where you grew up, then next about your background, and finally what your first theater experience was. And we'll go with ladies first.
My name is Alicia Berneche. I grew up in Kokomo, Indiana. Not much culture going on. I mean, we did have a civic theater. And I believe my first play I ever saw was Hamlet. And it was done by the Civic Theater. I do not remember the quality of the production. But as a little kid, I was really into Shakespeare. We had a professor in the neighborhood who taught it at the local university. And so he would teach us kind of like kids' versions of Shakespeare. And so I was like, oh, Hamlet's on, you know. So as you can tell, I didn't belong in Kokomo, Indiana, really at all. It's a big factory town. And so women were really, your whole job of going to school was to learn how to make the guys who were going to be your bosses feel good about themselves. Okay. And you had to get along with all the women in the line. And I was not built for any of that. So I left skid marks and and ended up in Chicago.
Well, tell us a little bit about your training and how you found your way here to Chicago.
Got it. So I wanted to be an actress. My first acting was in middle school, and my friend dragged me to auditions for the school show, and best Christmas pageant ever. And I was like, I guess so. I don't know. Actors seem weird. And I auditioned. I got the lead. Much to the chagrin of my friend who didn't get in it. And then I was just everything acting. And my senior year, a friend of mine, his dad taught voice lessons. And he was like, do you want to learn how to sing? My dad teaches voice lessons. And I'm like, no, I hate singers. I was a violinist. I mean, really, truly, I was a violinist. They're like airheads. I don't like them. And the music that was being sung in Kokomo was not really to my liking. So he's like, well, it'll make you more marketable as an actor. And I went, oh, okay. So we started working, and within a month, I changed all of my college applications from acting to singing. And I ended up in opera. And went to DePauw University for a voice major. It's a conservatory program. And then I went to Peabody Conservatory for opera again. Mm-hmm. And then I was in the Chicago Lyric program, in their Young Artist program. And so I came here.
So I have to ask about you just mentioned the school in Baltimore. I'm sorry, I can't remember.
Peabody Conservatory. Yes.
Was Sarah DiGiacomo one of your instructors by chance?
Serafina
DiGiacomo. She was my aunt. She was my uncle's wife.
Oh my God.
And she's taught there for many, many years. So that's the only way I know about Peabody's because of her association with it.
Do you remember what she taught?
Opera. She taught opera voice. Yeah.
I wonder if she was there after me though, because this is a long time ago.
Oh, she just passed a couple of years ago. She was well into her 80s. She had to have been there when you were there, I'm guessing.
I have no idea how we never crossed paths. I mean, I was in the master's program or in the graduate performance diploma program. So
yeah, and
she didn't take a lot.
She directed a lot of the operas that they did on campus there. I
was there when Roger Brunier was directing everything.
Okay. Maybe it was after she retired. I could be completely wrong. Maybe. I just know that was the school that she taught at, was Peabody. Yeah. She talked about it all the time. Come on, Ryan, you're up at bat. Give us a little bit about your background.
Yeah, amazing. My name is Ryan Stajmiger. I grew up in Milwaukee, Wisconsin. Was born in Virginia, DC area, and then moved out there around the time that I was 4. Both my parents were involved in theater. So my first theatrical experience, my mom was in a production of Anything Goes, I think, and I was like a baby backstage, and all of the people in the chorus would say I would walk around or crawl around backstage, like clicking my tongue, going, because I would see them in tap shoes and hear them going to do the show, and that's how I thought you had to move. So I've been there pretty much since birth.
And how did you find your way to Chicago?
Oh yeah, I went to CCPA, Chicago College of Performing Arts at Roosevelt University, from 2010 to 2014, and that's really what got me here and stuck me here. I did my first show in Chicago in 2012, in the middle, right after my sophomore year, going into my junior year, and kind of just hung out and stayed around.
Yeah. Well, we're glad you did. At least I personally am glad you stayed out.
Me as well.
For reasons people on this podcast may or may not know, Ryan is one of my 4C notes in my group. He's been with us for about 6 years now, and I'm grateful to have him as part of the
It's been 6 years, huh? That's crazy.
I know. It's
so
may have been more than
we
that.
do have a connection through Milwaukee, because I used to sing at Skylight every single year from 1998 on until around 2013. And I remember a little kid running around in the lobby.
Yeah, my mom used to work at Skylight and First Stage up in Milwaukee, which is like a kids theater program. They do like a summer school, a camp, as well as like a lot of like in school kids programming. Was based in the Broadway Theater Center where Skylight was at the time. So yeah, I have been in the room with Alicia since, I was a child. Yeah.
Is this your first time working together though?
Yeah.
Yes.
How incredible that you guys have crossed paths so many times in your life, and this is the first time you're being on stage. My wife and I only worked together when we met. We've never been on stage together ever since 27 years ago.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, it's super crazy.
And that's why you're happily married.
Some would say, yes, that's one of the reasons. Yes, indeed. Tell us a little bit about some of the influential people in your life that either got you started in the theater or helped you, kept your ego in check. Any stories like that you'd like to share? Ryan, let's continue with you.
Yeah. I mean, as I said, my parents kind of both got me in, but as theater is such a natural family in itself, I feel like I was raised by their friends and them and actors or like my whole life. Our mutual friend Ray Jivoff was like one of my first big mentors who got me started like really believing that it could be a thing that I was going into. And then my first show in Chicago, as I was saying, was Reefer Madness out at Circle Theater.
Oh.
And the director of that, Matt Gunnels, who passed away in 2014, was my first like Chicago mentor director that like built kind of a small community through this show. We're still like, I've lived with people that were in that cast. We're in creative process. Brenda, our choreography, was very close with Matt. Walter and Eugene, who I've worked with a lot at Mercury, we're very close with Matt. Like that whole community stemmed from from him really casting me and taking me under his wing during Reefer. So he's kind of my big driving force through my whole career, really, in Chicago.
I'm sad not to have ever crossed paths with him. He sounded like a wonderful human being.
Yes, very, very, really, really funny, smart, quick director, and really touched a lot of shows and a lot of people in a huge way. We talk about him a lot, Brenda and I specifically, and there's been a text thread going around like, our choreographer from that is working with my friend Tommy, who was in Reefer Madness, who played Beryl last time Urinetown was done, and I'm playing Lockstock now, so it's all like this web of gunnels always.
Alicia, how about you? Any influential people in your life?
Oh gosh, no, I did it all myself.
Atta girl.
I mean, my voice teacher at DePauw, she was a constant in my life for a long, long time. She passed away a couple of years ago. And just like having that touchstone of like who built my voice, and then I would always come back. Whenever I go away, I'd always come back, get a tune up, and that was for years, even when I had like other voice teachers. Many conductors over the years that just kind of took me under their wing, like and a director, Dottie Danner, who directed opera all over the country, and she would just she and Bill Tyson, who was Skylight. Do you remember Bill?
Yeah, I do.
They would just drag me to whatever gig they were doing, and it just people like that. Like that's how you have a career. It's like you find people that love you, like Matt Gunnels, right? And they put you in their shows, and then you build, this oeuvre of roles and reputation. And so I was very lucky to have those people who just dragged me along, and now Danny drags me.
Now, Alicia, you're also a teacher for singers, teaching them how to act through song and through arias. What are some of the basic tools you work on with them to convey stories in the pieces that they work on?
So mostly what I do is teach them how to sing, and be able to do all the hard stuff that we have in our that are required of us in these musicals. But the acting component, and I think this is something that, and this is definitely true in opera, is that people forget that that we're still telling a story first and foremost. We are choosing a little bit of a different delivery to do it in, but we're still telling a story. And so we really have to make sure that we are honoring the word. But then you go to the music. What is the music telling you? Is the music another character? The music can be the setting. Why do you stop singing at the rest? Why do you keep singing? And so if you just go to those simple things, they pretty much tell you how to act the whole song.
And do you prefer teaching or do you prefer performing?
Oh my gosh. They really serve very different parts of my personality.
Yeah.
But they both feed me equally. Yeah.
That's a pretty standard answer when I ask some of the questions to people who wear many hats. It's usually the hat they're wearing in that moment. That's serving them the way they need to be served in that moment. So totally honest answer. Appreciate that. So Ryan, you're probably one of the most busy actors in Chicago. You've played a lot of the big theaters, a lot of the smaller theaters, a lot of great roles. So you have any favorites?
Favorites, yeah. I've honestly been very, very lucky in that a lot of shows that I really love I've been in the right place, right time for. So I've gotten to do a lot of dream shows and dream roles, just like because that's the year the theater decided to produce it in their season. Most recently, definitely, I played Igor at Mercury Theater,
so great.
Which was like I saw Young Frankenstein on Broadway. I think when I was still in high school, and I remember vividly seeing Christopher Fitzgerald play the part, and just literally sitting in that seat being like, that is everything that I want to be. And so it's been a huge, that's been a big, goal dream role of mine for a long time. And there was an opportunity that I had to play it with like a dear friend playing Frankenstein, and I missed it because of circumstances. So I was so bummed about it. And then getting to do it at Mercury, which has kind of been like a home theater for me, it was really, really cool. Sean Fortunato was opposite. Like it was a dream cast, a dream show. And then also most recently, Olaf out at Paramount was just like a totally different experience. He's a puppet and such a beloved character. To have the reaction, especially from kids, was incredible. Some of our student matinees were like, I go to a lot of concerts, rock concerts and everything, and these student matinees of kids were the loudest rooms I've ever been in. Just like pure screaming decibel level. It was crazy. It was really special.
Yeah. And you were really fantastic at both of those shows. I mean, if I I'm going to go on the record to say you were robbed of a Jeff Award that year when you played Igor in Young Frankenstein. I'm just going to go on and say it. Yeah. No disrespect to anybody else who were nominated that year, but there you go.
The awards, we love the awards. Of course. Thing, but it's so hard to judge theater, I
know. Yeah. And I'm partial to you because you're my buddy too. So there's that. And you're always so busy. You're doing double duty sometimes. Like right now, you're rehearsing a kid show while you're doing Urinetown, and you also have your pumpkin carving business on the side every September to November. So I mean, how do you manage the workload of all that? I mean, you keep yourself in good health. You must be sleeping at some point, but how does one manage all of those simultaneous spinning plates?
I think this is probably my third time or so doing double duty. Young Frankenstein and Snow Queen at Marriott was another one. This is now Frog and Toad and Urinetown, and all of them happened to fall in pumpkin season, where I'm carving 20 pumpkins a day. Yeah, I think as much as I can be around that time, I just try to be like very intentional about when I'm not working, savoring that rather than freaking out that I'm not working. My girlfriend Melissa and I bought a house in the last year or so. So we've this last year, these are my first two shows since Frozen, give or take a few like things here and there, but being very intentional about, okay, now we're gonna like repaint this, we're gonna build a garden, we're gonna spend time in the nest that we built that can restore the time for when I have a pocket of time that's like 3 months kind of like nose to the grindstone, work. I guess trying to be very intentional about that time off.
Yeah, work-life balance.
Yes, yeah.
Yeah, real smart, very smart, particularly as a homeowner, because there's always something that needs to get done. Something that's got to be put on the back burner, and you get to it when you get to it. Let's talk about Urinetown a bit. This show, it's such a unique show. It's not been produced a whole lot in this area. The last CCPA just did it, and the last big production was at Boho Theater, and I think just about 10 years ago, and about 9 years before that, it was at the Mercury. So, I'm glad that it's back. Why do you think the show doesn't get produced as much as the other shows that are so popular all the time, that are more commercial names? But this show has got a great story, great score. It is got a bit of a cult following. Alicia, why do you think it's not as produced as often as some of the other titles?
Well, I mean, it's, as the show says, it's not a happy musical. It can offend some people. It's very much in the Bertolt Brecht idea of you confront your audience. You don't leave them innocent in the global devastation that we're doing right now, and it just keeps getting worse. And and so I think a lot of people are, also the parts are pretty hard. And so, I do see a lot of high schools doing it, but also like, oh, should they? Like it's a tricky musical to pull off. And yeah, I just wonder if it's partly subject matter and,
Well, I
you
think
know.
too, we joke about it in the show. There's the whole like, well, but what about the title? People aren't going to come see the musical with this title. And I think that bleeds into, from purely a business standpoint, like some of like more for-profit, bigger theaters have a fear of it from
Mhm.
a selling tickets perspective, maybe.
Yeah.
But like, I think that couldn't be farther from the truth. I think it is like one of the best musicals of, yeah, I guess it came out in 2001, which is a lot longer ago than it used to be. But
So were
yeah,
you born? Were you born yet?
I was born. I was.
Okay, you were born.
Yeah.
I saw the original production on Broadway.
So did I. So did I. Yeah.
Yeah, it's just so, and like you said, a cult following, and not a happy musical, but an
Mhm.
overwhelmingly fun musical.
Oh yes.
So it's, yeah, I think it's that disconnect between like what just the name Urinetown says and what is actually packed inside that box.
Yeah.
Agreed.
Do you think there's relevancy to producing that show right now during our political landscape?
Yes.
Yeah.
It was a
very
softball
much
question,
so.
I know, but
Well, we just had a summit for, global warming, and we weren't there.
Mhm.
So
yeah.
this musical is all about global warming.
Yeah. Global warming, authoritarianism, capitalism,
Yeah.
even populism. The heart of the musical, I think, and Danny and I have talked about a lot, is that it's not necessarily these people are wrong, these people
Right.
are wrong, this is wrong. It's anyone that isn't working to solve the issue is wrong. Like whether we're leading with capitalism and saving the water by oppressing a certain group, or leading by straight populism without a plan and
Mhm.
and just like opening the gates. No one in either of those parties are looking at the issue of the water shortage and saying, how do we fix this?
Yeah.
They're just grasping at power.
Yeah. And it's really interesting because we talk about good guys and bad guys in this show, and there are some pretty clear ones. But when it comes to a moment of crux, right, where we're at a moment where a decision has to be made, almost across the board, they all make bad decisions and they
Yes.
all hurt people.
Yeah.
Which feels very real.
Mhm.
But yeah, and every single person, when they get a taste of power, is corrupted.
Mhm.
So
Our heroes, our villains, yeah, literally.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So you think in the beginning, oh, it's very clear, but by the end, you realize every single person started in the same place and ended up corrupted.
Well, it's so nice because we can take all of that like what we just talked about sounded so very serious and important, but we're making fun of and laughing through it the whole time. It's a very Simpsons-esque, like, look at yourselves,
Mhm.
but it's funny,
Yeah.
It's like South Park.
Yes.
Yeah,
Yeah.
very much like.
As they said, the biggest I always mess up this phrase. The best way to sometimes combat evil is to laugh at it. The way like Mel Brooks, like Springtime for Hitler, right? Let's laugh at Hitler and disseminate him that way.
Yeah.
And we have all the comedians who, tell the news.
That's right.
Yeah.
They're the ones who really are telling the news, because the news is not doing it anymore.
Yeah.
Alicia, let's talk about the dual and separate worlds of musical theater versus opera. You played a lot of different roles in opera, and now Pennywise is vocally so different. A lot of that high belting. So how do you approach such different material in obviously a very healthy way? And the performance styles are usually very different. Opera is very, grand. And I mean, I know Urinetown could sort of be a broad comedy as well, even though it's Brechtian. But how do you approach them both from an acting perspective and from a vocal perspective?
Well, that's the thing. I was always kind of getting in trouble in opera because I was always acting like I was a musical theater actor. And they're like, Alicia, you're dying in this show. You can't be funny too. I know. What were they thinking?
That's right.
Yeah, but vocally, I actually, so my son, I went on the road. So you can't really be a local opera singer. So you have to travel a lot. And I was gone 6 to 9 months out of the year doing it. And at a certain point in second grade, my son started writing these. They write these little, like, you draw a picture of yourself and you write a sentence. And he would write, "I am sad. My mom is gone." And there would be like a face crying.
Hmm.
And that was a pretty clear indication that I was impacting his life pretty negatively. And so I stopped going on the road. And I was like, well, and I don't wanted to teach. And 90% of my students did not want to sing classical music. So I'm like, well, I have to figure out how to sing, really sing musical theater. I can't fake it. I can't do it through the lens of opera. And so I started studying with Jeanette Lovetri, who does somatic voice work. And she is a genius, the best of all the musical theater teachers. And it took me a good 5 years to consistently be able to healthily in my own voice make all those sounds. And then, and the strength from opera helps my high mix belt. And then, and the belting in musical theater helps my low range in opera. So they really do feed each other.
Now you were downtown at the Lyric here for a few years, weren't you?
Mm-hmm. I was in the Opera Center, so that's a training program.
Okay.
And I went into that right out of grad school. So I was
Okay.
24 years old. And then I sang leading roles there up until like 2003. So from 96 to 2003, I was there. And then I traveled all around. Yeah.
Favorite opera role of yours?
Despina in Così fan tutte.
Okay.
She is probably the only clown role in all of opera. She wears disguises and does funny voices. And yeah, it's just a really fun part.
Sounds right up your alley.
No, I know.
You could be funny and do opera at the same time.
Exactly. Finally.
What are some important lessons that you've both learned over your careers? And it could be life lessons that you've integrated into your career, or lessons you've learned while actually doing the thing. And Alicia, why don't we continue with you?
Maybe the biggest one is oftentimes we get into this career because we find we have some talent at it, and we feel like being good at it adds value to our lives and to ourselves, that we can claim, this is my armor, this makes me deserve to be in the world. And I think the biggest lesson we need to learn is it cannot stay there, because it will go. Your ability to do it, your memory, your physical ability to do it. And so you need to find a way to have it feed your joy, and yet you have value without its presence.
How about you, Ryan?
Yeah, I think honestly, going exactly right off that is when you do have that opportunity to perform and get joy from that performance, it's gotta be for you, and not for the opinions of others, or the comparison of others. Like, you are doing something you should be doing something so vastly yours and that you want to put out into the world.
Mm-hmm.
And obviously you want people to like it, and people will like it if you care about it. Some people won't like it because people have different tastes, but no singular opinion, be it award review, casting director, anything, should be the end goal of this joy. Nothing. They shouldn't take away that joy you have from the performance that you give, if that makes sense.
No, for sure. Is the lesson you've learned the piece of advice you would offer other people, or is there a better piece of advice or a different piece of advice you'd offer someone?
I think for me, the piece of advice that I keep trying to follow myself, honestly, is to emulate the attitudes, the work ethics, the presence of people that I admire, that I'm in rooms with. They're like, anytime I think of, like, if I am going into a thing and I'm like, I'm trying to get this for this opinion, or I'm trying to do this, I think like, would this person that I've worked with, that I know, that I look up to, like, do I see them think like that? And if that's not the case, then cut it out. And there's so many people that fall into that category. I always give Stephen Shellhart as an example for this. He's the type of person, the type of actor, director that, like, just being in one of his rooms, whether he's leading it or from behind the table, leading it from in the tape, from in the scene, you just, like, everyone goes into that room and, like, wants to be the best version of themselves, the best performer, the best human, simply because he's around. He doesn't, like, walk in and demand that or anything. It's just like, Steven's here. I look up to Steven so much. We all want to, like, be better together because he's that lead, if that makes sense.
Yeah. How about you, Alicia?
2 things. Let very few people into your boat.
Oh, I like that.
Yeah. So if you're doing a show, and everyone's going to have an opinion about how you're doing, what you're doing. So you have to make sure that the people that are in your boat are the ones that have the best interests of the show and you in mind. And that's who you listen to. And then B, and this goes on with what Ryan said, that it doesn't matter what anyone else thinks of you. That does not change who you are. So if you get a bad review, that does not change you, and that does not change your performance.
Well said. Theo is producing Urinetown, and it just got extended. So what's the now new closing date of the
January 4th?
4th, yeah.
January 4th. And of course, we'll have the ticket link in our show notes. So if you're looking for tickets, please go visit our show notes. And Ryan and Alicia, anything else you guys want to promote or mention before we wrap up?
I mean, other than Urinetown, Year with Frog and Toad at Young People's Theater of Chicago at the Greenhouse runs through, I think, December 21st. Yeah.
Any parting words, Alicia? I couldn't agree more. Great to have you both on the podcast. I really appreciate it. And I'm coming to see the show this Saturday, and I look forward to seeing it then.
Yeah, can't wait to see it.
Yay!
We'll yell at you.
Okay, awesome. I've been warned. Thanks for joining us at the Chicago Theater Makers Podcast. Please don't forget to like, share, and subscribe wherever you get your podcasts. The Chicago Theater Makers Podcast is a production of Spirit Art LLC, and our podcast theme music is by Paul Langford. If you or someone you know would like to be a guest on the podcast, please drop us a note at our website, shytheatermakerspodcast.com. That's CHITHEATER, makers with an S, podcast.com. We hope you enjoyed spending time with us as much as we enjoyed spending it with you, and we'll see you on the board soon.